Stalingrad, November 1942. The thermometer reads 30 degrees below zero. The air is solid ice. It hurts to breathe. But inside a pile of shattered bricks, buried under a sheet of rusted iron, a man is not breathing at all. He is holding his breath. His heart beats 40 times a minute. He has trained it to slow down. He is a statue made of flesh and bone. Through the scope of his Mosin-Nagant rifle, the world is magnified 4 times. He sees a German officer light a cigarette 300 yards away. The flame flickers. The officer laughs. It is the last thing he ever does. A single crack echoes through the ruins. The officer drops. The cigarette falls into the snow, still burning. The shooter cycles the bolt, smooth, quiet, invisible. This is Vasily Zaitsev. The Germans call him the Russian hare. But there is nothing frightened about this animal. He is the predator that haunts their nightmares. By the end of this winter, he will officially claim 225 lives. If you want to uncover more stories of human endurance like this, a quick subscribe helps us bring them to light. It was the darkest month of the war. The Germans had pushed the Soviet army back to the very edge of the Volga River. The city of Stalingrad was no longer a city. It was a skeleton, a jagged landscape of concrete and twisted steel. The Germans called it Rattenkrieg, War of the Rats. Battle lines didn't exist here. The enemy could be in the basement while you slept on the 3rd floor. The kitchen could be Soviet, the living room German. Death was intimate. It was close range. Vasily was not a professional soldier. He was a payroll clerk from the Urals, a simple man who grew up in the forests, hunting wolves and deer with his grandfather. His grandfather taught him a single lesson that saved his life 1,000 times. A stone does not move. Be the stone. According to his diary, the noise of Stalingrad was worse than the sight of it. He wrote, "The city screams. Metal grinds on metal. The ground shakes so much that sleep is impossible. You learn to sleep with your eyes open." Vasily didn't fight like the others. He didn't charge with a bayonet. He burrowed. He dug foxholes under mountains of slag in the Red October factory. He wrapped himself in bandages to blend in with the snow. He ate dry crusts of bread and licked condensation off cold metal to survive. He was waiting for targets, but soon he realized he wasn't just hunting soldiers. He was hunting fear itself. "Vasily," whispered Kulikov, his spotter. They were lying in a drainage pipe, submerged in freezing mud. "Do you see him?" Vasily didn't answer. He was scanning the ruins of a department store across the square. "Not yet." "The boys say it's a ghost," Kulikov said, his voice trembling. 3 snipers dead in 2 days, all shot through the eye." "It's not a ghost," Vasily murmured, adjusting his scope. "It's a professional." Rumors had spread through the trenches like a virus. The Germans, terrified of Zaitsev, had allegedly flown in their own master sniper, a major from Berlin. Some called him Koenig, others Thorvald. His mission was simple: kill the Russian hare. The duel began on a Tuesday. Vasily found 2 of his friends dead in a shallow trench. The shots were perfect, surgical. The enemy sniper wasn't just killing them, he was mocking them. He was breaking the glass on their scopes to show he could hit a target the size of a coin. Vasily wrote in a letter home, "I have met my match. He knows my habits. He knows the terrain. He is patient. More patient than the stone." For 3 days, the 2 men played a deadly game of chess across the ruins. Vasily tried a trick. He raised a helmet on a stick. Bang! The helmet flew off. It was a bait. But the German didn't fire again. He knew it was a trick. He was waiting for Vasily to check the damage. "He's good," Vasily whispered to Kulikov. "He's very good." "We can't stay here," Kulikov hissed. "The sun is moving. The scope will glint." "That's it," Vasily said. His eyes narrowed. "The sun." They moved position in the middle of the night. They crawled over broken glass and frozen bodies to reach a new vantage point, a pile of bricks with a sheet of metal facing the east. Morning came. The sun rose. The light hit the German lines. Vasily scanned the rubble. Nothing. Just gray stone. Just twisted iron. But then, a mistake. A tiny, fatal mistake. Under a piece of sheet metal, something sparkled. It wasn't ice. It was glass. The German sniper had moved his rifle, and for a fraction of a second, the sun caught the lens of his scope. It was enough. "I see him," Vasily breathed. "Take the shot," Kulikov urged. "No, he needs to believe he has won." Vasily told Kulikov to raise a glove, just a little, as if a soldier was carelessly resting his hand. Crack! The bullet tore through the glove. Kulikov screamed, a fake, theatrical scream, and slumped down into the trench. Silence fell over the square. The birds had long since fled Stalingrad. The only sound was the wind howling through the empty windows. The German sniper, believing he had finally killed the famous Zaitsev, did the unthinkable. He stood up. Just a few inches. He wanted to see his kill. He wanted to confirm the death of the legend. Vasily exhaled. The breath left his body in a slow white cloud. He squeezed the trigger. The Mosin-Nagant kicked against his shoulder. The sound was deafening in the small space. Across the square, the German officer fell backward. His rifle clattered onto the stones. He did not move again. "Check him," Vasily said, lowering his rifle. But he knew. He felt it. The tension in the air was gone. The hunter had become the prey. That evening, Vasily stood over the body. He took the German scope as a trophy. It was a high-powered Zeiss lens, a tool of precision. Now, it belonged to a shepherd from the Urals. "He thought he was hunting a soldier," Vasily said quietly. "He forgot he was in the wild." By January, the German army was encircled. Starving. Freezing. The Battle of Stalingrad ended with the surrender of Field Marshal Paulus. But for the soldiers on the ground, the legend of the sniper kept them warm. Vasily Zaitsev survived the war, but the war never really left him. In 1943, a landmine explosion nearly blinded him. Doctors saved his sight, and he returned to the front, marching all the way to Berlin. According to official military records, Zaitsev's group of snipers killed 1,126 enemy soldiers during the battle. He wrote a textbook on sniping that is still used today. He taught them to fight in trios, a shooter, a spotter, and a guard. He turned sniping from a solitary act into a science. Historians still debate the true identity of the German major. Some say he was an invention of propaganda. Others say his name was lost in the chaos of the retreat. But the thousands of German soldiers who refused to lift their heads above the trenches knew the truth. The fear was real. Vasily lived to be an old man. He died in 1991, just days before the Soviet Union collapsed. His final wish was to be buried in Stalingrad, now called Volgograd. He wanted to rest beside the men he fought with. On his monument there is a quote, a simple line that defined the most brutal battle in human history. For us, there was no land beyond the Volga. War creates heroes, but it also creates shadows. Vasily Zaitsev was the shadow that the enemy could never catch. If this story moved you, please subscribe. We are dedicated to keeping these memories from fading into the dark.